Tom looks up at Bridget warily. That night, the night Karen had her accident, Bridget begins, I was home, sitting at the window. It was around 20 after 8. I saw Karen come running out of the house. I know all this, Tom says sullenly. I watched her get into her car and tear away, and I thought maybe something was wrong. Tom's staring at her now, wondering where this is going. So I got in my car and I followed her. Tom feels as if his heart has stopped. He hadn't expected that. This is going to be worse than he thought. He wants to cover his ears and refuse to listen, but he just stands there and hears it all. She was driving a bit fast, but she had to stop at a couple of lights, and I was able to keep up with her, a ways behind. I was worried when I saw her run out of the house like that. Bridget picks up her martini from the counter and takes a quick gulp, and then another, as if she needs courage for what she has to say next. I realized she was heading into a bad part of town. I couldn't think why. I was wondering what she was up to. It occurred to me that she might not like me following her, but she's a friend and I was concerned. I just wanted to make sure she was all right. So I stayed with her, but far enough back so that she wouldn't see me. After a while, she pulled into this little parking lot off the main road. I drove past while she was parking, and then I did a U-turn and came back and parked across the street. Tom's watching her closely through eyes that refuse to focus. He's trying to tell if she's lying. He's so bad at telling when someone is lying, judging by his past performance at it. He fears that she's telling him the truth. He's thinking that Bridget is a witness, and it's making him sick with fear. She's going to put Karen away. I was almost afraid to get out of the car, but I was so worried about Karen. I saw her go behind a boarded-up restaurant. I got out of the car and walked closer, and then I heard shots. 3 gunshots. She closes her eyes briefly, opens them again. I was petrified. It sounded like they came from inside the restaurant. Then I saw Karen come bolting out of there and hightail it for her car. She was wearing these pink rubber gloves, which I thought was odd. She tore them off before she got in the car. I stood there in the dark against the building. I'm sure she didn't see me, and watched her take off out of the parking lot. She was driving way too fast. I thought about going after her, but I knew I'd never catch up to her going at that speed. So I went into the restaurant that she came out of. She pauses to catch her breath. Tom's heart is beating wildly, and all he can think is, she didn't actually see Karen pull the trigger. I got to the door and I opened it and went inside. It was pretty dark, but I could see there was a body, a man, dead on the floor. She shudders. It was horrible. He's been shot in the face and the chest. Bridget walks up closer to him until she's within arm's reach. Tom, she shot him. She killed that man. No, she didn't, Tom says. Tom, I know this is hard for you to hear, but I was there. Tom says desperately, you didn't see her shoot him. You heard shots. You saw Karen run away. Maybe someone else was in that restaurant. Maybe she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. He knows how frantic he sounds, how foolish. Tom, I didn't see anybody else come out of the building, and she was carrying a gun when she went in there. I saw her. You didn't say that you saw her carrying a gun when she went in the building. Well, I did. Did she have it when she left? No. Did you see the gun there when you were in the restaurant? I don't think so. What do you mean you don't think so? I don't know, Tom. I didn't pay attention to the gun. It was dark. She must have left it there somewhere. I was too freaked out by the dead body. by what she'd done to notice the gun. Jesus. Tom's thinking furiously. This is not good. This is very, very bad. He has to know what Bridget's going to do. His head is spinning with fear and alcohol. He says slowly, "What are you going to do, Bridget?" "What do you mean?" "Are you going to tell the police what you saw?" She looks at him and comes closer. Her eyes soften. She bites her lower lip. She reaches up and touches his face gently. He's frozen in place, confused, waiting for her answer. She says, "No, of course not. Karen's my friend." And she kisses him deeply. He reaches for her and succumbs helplessly to the comfort she's offering. Karen hasn't slept at all. She has an arraignment this morning, and right now her lawyer is sitting across from her in a small interview room trying to get her to drink strong coffee. But it tastes bitter and sour in her mouth, and she pushes it away. Besides, she doesn't think she can keep anything down. She feels grimy, unwashed. Her head aches, and her eyes burn. She wonders if this is how she's going to feel for the rest of her life. Is she going to spend the rest of her life in prison? "Karen, you need to focus," Calvin tells her urgently. "Where's Tom?" she asks again. "It's 9 o'clock already. Her arraignment is this morning. Why isn't he here?" His absence makes her feel abandoned. She doesn't think she can do this if he isn't by her side. "I'm sure he'll be here," Calvin says. "Maybe he's caught in traffic." She reaches for the coffee like a good client. Right now, everything depends on what her lawyer can do for her. Calvin says the evidence against you is all circumstantial, meaning there's no direct evidence, no gun with your prints, no trace evidence from you at the scene, and no witnesses tying you to the crime. At least none that we know of so far. They may find some. The tire track evidence isn't conclusive. The gloves are at the lab, but they haven't gotten any DNA off them yet. The lab's a busy place, but they'll get to it. They'll probably find DNA. I'll fight getting that admitted every way I know how, but they may be able to prove that they were your gloves, in which case we've got a big problem. "I don't think I killed him," she says stubbornly. He waits a few beats. "So we have to try to figure out who did. Come up with a plausible alternative theory. Because even if you did kill him," the lawyer speaks carefully, as if not wanting to upset her, "they can't convict unless they can prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. It's our job to furnish that reasonable doubt. We have to come up with a credible theory of who might have killed him, other than you." "I don't know. Did he have a new wife? Because if he did, she probably wanted to kill him." She laughs hollowly. "No, he didn't," Calvin presses her. "You said before that he might have enemies." "I don't know. I haven't seen him in years. I thought he dealt with some questionable people, but I don't know who they were. I stayed out of the business. I didn't want any part of it. I'm going to start having some people look into his business contacts, see if he's pissed anybody off." She looks at the clock on the wall and wonders again where Tom is. She's starting to feel uneasy about Tom. Can she count on him? Maybe he doesn't believe her. Maybe he thinks she's a murderer. Is he going to come? "Did you see anyone else there?" Calvin asked. "Think. Did you hear anything inside the restaurant? Could there have been someone there, hiding in the shadows?" She tries to concentrate. "I don't know. I can't remember everything. I don't remember being inside. There could have been somebody there." She blinks her eyes. "There must have been." Calvin takes a sip of his own coffee from a styrofoam cup. "You told me before that you felt your husband had been in your house in the weeks leading up to the call. Yeah, I'm sure of it, she says. She gives an involuntary shudder. When I think of it now, it still disturbs me. I wonder if I'll ever stop being afraid of him, even though I know he's... Do you still have the photos on your phone, the ones you took at the house in the mornings before you went to work? Yeah, I think so. Good. Those photos show that you were in a particular state of mind, that you thought you were being stalked by him in your own home. You were in mortal fear. We need to preserve those photos in case we need them. But isn't that worse? She asked, her voice catching. If I thought he'd found me and was breaking into the house, stalking me, doesn't it make it look more likely that I killed him? Yes, the lawyer says. He pauses, but it also gives you a defense. If we can prove that he was in your house, Calvin makes a note on his legal pad, we need to get fingerprints taken. I'll look into getting that done. She looks at him with dismay, but says nothing. She knows how bad it looks. No one's going to believe her. Her own lawyer doesn't believe her. And she's not sure about her husband either. She hears a noise outside in the corridor and looks up quickly. The door opens and a guard ushers Tom into the interview room. Karen feels immense relief. She wants to ask him what the hell took him so long, but one look at him stops her. He looks like hell. And she's the one who spent the night in a cell. She feels a surge of annoyance. She needs him to pull himself together. She can't do this on her own. She says nothing, but eyes him closely. Sorry, I overslept, Tom says, flushing. I couldn't get to sleep, and then when I finally did, he trails off. She'll be appearing in court soon, Calvin tells him. Tom nods, as if it's completely normal for his wife to be going to court on a murder charge. Karen wants to shake him. He seems so removed. Can we have a moment alone? She asks, looking at Calvin. The lawyer takes a quick glance at his watch and says, Sure, a few minutes. He gets up with the scrape of his chair and exits, leaving the two of them alone. Karen stands up and takes a step towards Tom. They eye one another. Karen breaks the silence first. You look like hell. You don't look so good yourself. It breaks the tension. They both smile a little. Tom, Karen says, I don't think Calvin believes me. She's testing him. She knows it doesn't really matter what her lawyer believes. His job is to defend her anyway. But she wants to hear Tom say that he believes her. She needs to hear it. I don't think I could have killed him, Tom, and if you don't believe me, he steps forward and takes her in his arms and holds her tight as she presses her face into his chest, stifling a sob. Shh, of course I believe you. It's comforting to be held by him, to hear him say it. Even so, she begins to shake uncontrollably. Suddenly, the enormity of what she's facing is catching up with her.